physician assistant. I'm actually a wellness advocate. You may know my wife, Jacqueline Ritz, the Paleo Mama. And so, surprisingly enough, she started this business, go figure, right? And then eventually she grabbed me kicking and screaming. I was teaching physician assistant school in Western North Carolina, so I share that with Dr. Woodfill, that I'm also from North Carolina. And it looks like a lot of you actually made the trip. But, so I have not had to practice, full-out medicine now for the last 3 years because of doTERRA. That's the financial success that is on the horizon for every one of us in this room. doTERRA is not going anywhere, folks. It's only the best is yet to still come. And so I wanted to take this opportunity, thank goodness I have a timer now, but I wanted to take this opportunity to actually speak with you about something that we do not talk about, I think, well whatsoever, and that's men's health. And so that's what this discussion is about today. So get your cameras ready, get your videos ready. I am going to be 1,000% compliant, and I really do mean that. And you'll be able to hopefully take but a couple of things back to those men folk in your life and be able to teach them why these essential oils actually can work. All right, let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, there we go. So this is what I like to call naturally supporting lifelong wellness. Just like Dr. Woodfill said, and just like a lot of physicians and folks that practice medicine understand now, is that we are not the cure-all. The medical providers are the ones that want to commune with you. We want to discuss options. We want to talk about lifestyle changes. I actually got my physician assistant degree through the United States military. I actually did something called the Inter-Service Physician Assistant Program. It's actually where all the branches come together. And we do school in San Antonio, Texas, and then they split you off and you go off into your different areas of the country to do your clinical rotations. And so after, literally what David referred to as drinking from a fire hose, that's actually what it is, going through medical school, physician assistant school, or something like that. It's like, start chewing now and possibly be able to digest later, okay? Like, it's one of those proverbial taste the food on your way out the door kind of thing. Because it is a whirlwind, and by all means, even in my education, I never received anything about lifestyle. We talked about it, but it was like this fluffy concept. It was like this, we should be eating this way, or we should be doing these sorts of things. Exercise is one of those things that people on Instagram frustrate me because they do it too much. Like, there is too much of even what we consider a good thing. Our bodies are made for moderations. They are not made for excesses nor deficiencies. We are supposed to live in a happy medium. And I have thankfully been able to practice Western medicine, but be able to understand integrative approaches. And so that's what I want to share with you today. So I got to give some disclaimers, right? Although I am a certified physician assistant, by all means, this is not to diagnose, prevent, cure, or even treat a disease. This is just my opinions of this lowly little guy up here, okay? And I'm also a wellness advocate, so by all means, I am not trying to sell you anything. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to promote good health. In addition to, if you have anything that you wish to take upon yourself, speak with your healthcare provider, okay? A lot of them are open to it. They may not necessarily know. You might actually feel like you're in the driver's seat at times. And you're bringing them information going, I've been doing all this research on these natural forms of healthcare. I wanted to talk to you about them. A lot of physicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, nurses are starting to become very much exposed to the use of essential oils and supplementation in their patients. There's a massive demand. Just like David also said, there's a grassroots movement of people who want natural forms of healthcare, because we all know in this room that they work, but more and more people are coming on board understanding this every single day. Let's see. There we go. So I did, of course, a Dr. Google search on men's health, right, and essential oils. You got to start there, right? And so I came up with lots of beard oils, pomades, male enhancement oils. I stopped there, hit X, delete, stopped moving on, went back, opened up a new tab and found some cologne, shaving creams, things like that. But let's face it, right? Men want practicality, we want ease of use. We couldn't care less about how they necessarily smell, in the sense of, just like Dr. Hill, I'm not really a buff on lavender. I know all the benefits of lavender, I think it's amazing. But I just can't get by the floralness of it, okay? I'm a cedarwood guy, you know? It's like we need to be able to make these products where guys are gonna go, okay, yeah, I get it. You know, this stuff actually does work. Just like Dr. Woodfield said, it sometimes takes 2 or 3 beats about the head for us to finally go, okay, yeah, we get it, okay? It does in fact actually work. All right? The other really bad prejudging comment that I hear far too much is, aren't they just good for women? You can quote me on this because I've said it a couple of times now, and I don't want any of you to go run on the Facebook and say something. Essential oils, folks, are good from the moment of your first breath until the moment of your last breath. They are not sexist. They're not ethnocentric, they're not racist, they don't care what you do, what socioeconomic background you come from, they are going to work with you because you are a part of the human genome, whether you're a male or a female. They are going to work for you. So this is what we're going to talk about. There's actually 10 health issues, and I found this on Clinical Advisor, that mainly bring men to the doctor finally. So we'll talk about those a couple of slides from now. But we're going to talk about, and this is like where you get in the military, if we stomp or we say something enough times, it means that you'll probably see it on the form of a test in a few. So you're going to hear me talk about daily habits. Do we know that daily habits has been going on now for about 6 days? How many of you in here are actually doing the daily habits? How many of you actually like it? Okay, because I did a daily habits challenge with our team, and of the 115 folks, I have data where I use something called a Likert scale, which is like, everybody's fellow Likert scale. I don't agree with it whatsoever up to, I agree with it completely. And the data astounded me. There was such a massive shift of where people were sort of middle of the road, like, I want to get better sleep. These are the questions I ask. I want to get better sleep. I want to have overall better health. I want to feel cleaner and more, like just the products, if you will, are out of my life. Anyway, I asked about 10 or 15 of these questions, and of course, we had some folks that were like essential oil users for a while, so they skewed it toward the right, but the vast majority fell right there in that middle. By the end of the 30 days, I don't think I had anybody on the left side or the I don't agree with side. Everybody had en masse moved toward the other side. And I urge you that the Daily Habits Challenge is the foundation upon all of which we should start. It is not just about, I have X health issue and I should find an essential oil for that. We want to get to the root of the problem. And most of the time, the root of the problem is lack of an adequate diet and proper exercise, removing the toxins, everybody feeling what I'm saying here? And getting better sleep. Where have we seen that before? Have we seen it here? Now the good news is if I can go back. This is the doTERRA wellness lifestyle pyramid. I like to refer to it as like the old food guide, right? Like you remember how carbohydrates were like on the bottom and fats were on the top, even though that's completely been debunked 1,000 times over. This is what we should be doing. Toward the bottom of the graph, or the bottom of the pyramid, these are lifestyle choices. These are things that each one of us in this room can do every single day. This is the food that we consume, the delicious sleep. I read lots and lots of great books by naturopathic doctors, and one of them, his name's Dr. Ben Lynch, and I'm reading his book right now called Dirty Genes. And it's about our genetic profile. I mean, we now have mapped out the entire human genome, folks. I mean, we are definitely where we understand our DNA like we've never really understood it before. But anyway, this book talks about 8 delicious hours of sleep. And I think about that and I say, that's the type of sleep that we all need. It is important and crucial that we get the correct amount of sleep. We talk about it. But are you actually getting 8 delicious hours of sleep a night? Uninterrupted. Don't wake up. We don't play with our blue light emitting devices, aka our smartphones or our tablets, or even turn on a television. The reason why we don't do these things is because they naturally disrupt, or I should say they artificially disrupt natural processes, okay? So this foundational pyramid is crucially important. And this is what we should be striving to accomplish every single day. If you notice that there's a dashed line and then above that is healthcare. Healthcare, absolutely, folks, still remains to be a piece of our overall wellness platform. By all means, with the advent of what doTERRA is doing in terms of coming up with these healthcare facilities and things like that, keep providers in your life. Have people that you go and see to do certain things like lab tests, CT scans when necessary, x-rays when necessary. Make sure that you have someone who is getting these, understands how to interpret that data, and give you the answers. There are values in labs that will absolutely direct what you need to do to change and modify your lifestyle to be even more effective. Does that make sense? Okay. And then at the top, or excuse me, that was the top of proactive medical care, and then that purple bar that you see is informed self-care. So this is sort of the blurring of the lines, if you will, between me going out to, say, a CVS or one of these other places where I may be able to go get a medicine if I have a breakthrough sort of situation that I need some additional help with. But every single day, at the very least, David talked about it, Copaiba or Copaiba, which is actually the way that I said it when I first started, and I was corrected 1,000 times. No, it's Copaiba, and then it's Copaiba, and then I was like, I really feel that they've been saying Copaiba. But Copaiba and frankincense are phenomenal. Like, I jokingly call them the oils of mass destruction. Like, they can go in and totally cover anything that you have no clue. If I have any idea what essential oil I could use, I know that I can at least grab it for one of those too. So, getting back to the top 10 men's health issues, these are what they are, all right, folks? This is what plagues us men. Cardiovascular problems. And when I say cardiovascular problems, of course, I'm talking about the myriad of things like heart disease and, stroke and thrombosis, if you will, which is the creation of a blood clot somewhere inside of the body and it goes somewhere that it's not supposed to. We have a lot of respiratory problems, right? There are a lot of folks who unfortunately have to wheel around their little oxygen tanks everywhere they go because they suffer from a very serious respiratory condition. Alcohol use, okay? Alcohol use and all the things that come with alcohol use. Depression and suicide, this is something I'm going to talk about, folks. This is something that is literally, we need to address this elephant in the room. And I don't know about you, but I feel completely comfortable with talking about depression and suicide. In my time in the service, I saw way too much. It affects everyone. Not just the person going through it, but we're a network of a community of people. And your death affects other people. And it's super important that we talk about depression and suicide. Especially with I can't even turn on the news and literally become depressed at the amount of depression that I see in our society. There's accidents, of course, and a lot of these accidents are actually men-related, like carpentry accidents or mechanic accidents or something like that. Then number 6 is, I'm going to date myself here a little bit, but I remember a very wonderful commercial with a man by the name of Wilford Brimley. And he was like, my name is Wilford Brimley and I got diabetes. We got skin cancer, HIV and AIDS. It doesn't necessarily follow one particular population anymore. It's HIV/AIDS is rampant throughout. Influenza and pneumonia and the complications that come with those, and then liver disease. So those are the top 10 according to clinical advisor. So why don't men seek regular health care? Take a picture of this and think about the man in your life, and have you actually heard him say one of these things? I know I have. I've said them. I've said probably more than one. I don't necessarily think that any of these are very off base, especially that last one. How many men would be very terrified to go and hear of the results that come up during their visit? So these are the things that keep men paralyzed and fearful of going to see a healthcare provider. So, of course, where do we start? Well, like I said, we talked about the wellness lifestyle, but what I really want to focus on is these 4 points over here at the bottom. Okay? We have got to modify our lifestyle. Our standard American diet is literally defined by the acronym that describes it, and that is SAD. It's SAD. We eat terribly as a nation. We have more processed food. By the way, in Western North Carolina, my wife and I also have a farm. And we raise our own food. And it's not because of the fact that we wanted to do that because, you know, we were so wanting to go off into left field on this whole conversation with lifestyle modification that we decided to buy a farm. But instead, it has really woke us up to how we think that some of the foods that we actually get inside of the store are still okay for us. If you are not shopping the outside of a grocery store and then looking for grass-fed meats if you're a meat eater and organic foods if you're wanting to eat produce and stay that way, then you're doing yourself an injustice. All of those aisles in the middle of the grocery store are designed with feel-good, taste-good foods. And those foods are with chemicals, they're laden with chemicals that I myself cannot pronounce. And they are a list this big on the side of the package. I still don't know what natural sweeteners are. I still don't know what these other natural things are, because this is a term that can describe up to 100 different things. And some of which I've actually gotten quite disgusted with finding out what they actually are. And so I urge you to consider your diet. You can see it's the big green bar on the bottom, and it's absolutely crucial to building that pyramid the way you need to. The next thing, please stop smoking. Please stop smoking. They make way too much money, and although I understand they haven't necessarily killed anybody, they lead ultimately to death. Smoking is the one thing that you can stop today, and it will immediately impact your future of your own lifestyle and your own health. That is the one thing. And that's just the one piece. How many of us are still drinking out of plastic bottles? Show me your plastic bottles if you're drinking out of them. Have we educated ourselves with the type of plastic that is actually better for you and it's okay to drink out of? Take a look at all the different designations of the triangle or the box. That's usually on the underside of your plastic bottle or on the underside of the lid. Please, by all means, drink water, okay? Don't let this terrify you. But there are certain plastics that are actually better for you than not. If you can, invest in something like a stainless steel bottle, right? Remove your toxic laundry detergents. Get rid of those. On Guard laundry detergent is a great swap for that. All right? Worst case scenario, go out and do like what we hippies do and go buy some soap nuts. And put those in there instead, and then guess what? doTERRA has them again. They're called dryer balls. And you can put the essential oil or the blend that you want on there and throw them in there, and you're good to go. Okay? Remove those. Stop wearing cologne and perfume. Embrace the natural smell. but in such a way that if we're focusing on to detox the rest of ourselves, we actually don't smell nearly the way that we thought that we did. We don't need an antiperspirant deodorant. Aluminum is not good. I switched to an all-natural deodorant, and folks, I'm like, I sweat, okay? And I definitely profusely sweat. I don't need an antiperspirant because I have focused on detoxing my body, and now all of a sudden I don't quite offend myself the way I used to. It's a crazy thing. I literally we were just at Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. Awesome place, by the way. Like, I'm a Disney brat, right? Like, I grew up in like downtown, like Orlando area, and of course Disney was like all the rage. Now Hershey Park crushes it. And I mean, like, I'm almost 40 years old, and I've rappelled out of helicopters, and I've been shot at, and I've been around lots of explosives during my career in the military. And I tell you what, that Storm Runner, man, where you go from 0 to 72 in like 2 seconds, that turned even more of my hair white. That's how terrifying that ride can actually be. It's really awesome. But anyway, going back to it, 8 great, delicious hours of sleep, okay? And have a moderate exercise routine. 2, 3, 4 days a week, variated, because we're creatures of, we don't like doing the mundane. So do yoga. Do a cardiovascular routine that isn't gonna be mind-numbing, okay? Get out and just go for great walks, all right? Bring your families along. Do something that gets your heart rate up for at least 20 minutes, a couple of times throughout the week. Please don't exercise 7 days a week. Well, actually, go ahead, because if you're on my team, then I know that your LRP is going to have to be deep blue every single month. But exercise moderately, okay? Like I said, we are involved in the happy medium. Okay, so the 30-day daily protocol, this is something that I talked to you about a little bit earlier. I'll kind of move through this. Wonderful way to kickstart your health in the right direction, okay? And just because you missed the 15th doesn't mean you can't start, all right? Get those products from something similar to the Daily Habits Kit, and then get going on them, okay? And if you need somebody to help you, I will be happy to. I don't care if you're on my team or not, all right? Reach out to me, and I will help you understand why those particular products are in that particular kit. All right, this is the kit itself. Everybody may be near and dear to this. There should be hopefully nothing that's too out of control on here. Not only is the PB Assist very much used by myself, but I carry Terrazyme with me. Amazing whole food supplement. And I did not realize that I don't care if I eat like a cow in terms of grazing all day, I still don't get all the enzymes I need. And I have felt so miraculously changed in terms of the GI upset, the bloating, the indigestion and things like that because of Terrazyme. It's a remarkable, remarkable product. So here's some, I guess I did put some results in here. So this is the 30-day challenge that we did. I'm a part of the well-oiled machine. That's Jackie's thing. And we did this, and we have a couple of different oils in there that you can see that we used as well. We used the Serenity oil, of course, at night, and then we also had some folks who wanted to do the Serenity capsules as well. As you can see, lifelong vitality is not to throw you off. You're really not supposed to take it 3 times a day, but as we know, how it says on the package, it's 4 capsules up to 3 times a day. So it's like one of those things that, like, if you're like me, I don't know how I can do this, but I wolf back 14 capsules in 1 swallow. I don't know how I do it, okay? I have no clue. Could be old college coming back. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I don't understand why, but my stomach can handle it. But if you have to split it up or even start low and go slow, then maybe do a capsule once a day. You know what I mean? But get yourself on lifelong vitality. It's not the #1 product in doTERRA for any other reason than the fact that we know it works. It has this volume of testimonial information from wellness advocates and customers that it's just too numerous to count. Okay? So this is like I was talking about. This is the 30 folks, or excuse me, this is the 30-day challenge. Unfortunately, I did have an attrition rate. Okay, that's why I went with percentages instead. But by and far, the folks that actually finished and remembered to fill out my simple Google Sheet document, you can see they started about middle of the road and they moved toward the right, meaning that they were more in agreement with, I get things like stressing, or I can effectively handle my stress. All right, so this is just one of like at least 15 different questions that I asked, right? Then I also did with the sleep. Look at that one. Now, mind you, I had nutrition rate, okay? The 20 folks that finished were the 20 folks that were like motivated throughout the entire time, okay? You notice that I did have a pretty decent drop off on my data, okay? And then of course, these are just two of the questions, okay? You can make a difference in your own healthcare. You really can, okay? So there's 3 areas of support that I want to talk about: cardiovascular, respiratory, and mental health. I'm sorry, I'm going to speed it up a little bit to keep us on time, okay? So this data should not seem foreign to anybody. Go to doterrascienceblog.com, and that's where I pulled all of this information from. The reason for the heart picture is because I was going to bore you with how the heart actually operates. Let's just say that it's a very efficient pump, and matter of fact, while you're sitting right now, it's the thing besides your brain that's actually taking up all the oxygen, okay? It's crucial that we take care of that very important organ. Okay, so different types of things that can help with normalizing or keeping blood pressure within normal limits, okay? Any blood pressure above 120/80 is what we call borderline, and then once you get up to about 140/90, that's when we're gonna start talking about this different types of essential hypertension, okay? It's very crucial that we eat right, exercise, and consider different types of supplementation to keep our blood pressures within that normal range. Linalool is, as you can see, it's inside of all those different essential oils. It is phenomenal at being able to help relax blood vessels. All right, think about this. I take a hose, a garden hose, right? And I make it really small diameter. And I try to put a liter of water through it. That's gonna give me a certain pressure. Now, if I take that garden hose and dilate it to 2 or even 3 times its regular size on the inside of it, and then put that same amount of water through it, I'm gonna have a far significantly reduced pressure. It's important that we are actually allowing our blood vessels to dilate. Certain things increase the stress of our blood vessels. Smoking, stress itself, okay? Different obnoxious compounds that we come into contact with can actually do that, okay? Cholesterol. It's important that we consider keeping cholesterol, and there's actually a really great physician that I've been talking to. His name's Dr. Jack Wolfson. He's the paleocardiologist. And actually, if you go on his website and type in well oiled, you get a book for $5. It's an awesome book. If you consider how important cholesterol is, it actually makes up all of our hormones. And people get bent out of shape with unbelievably crazy high cholesterol numbers. And it's important to consider cholesterol and overall lifestyle, but I urge you, at the very least, find out what your lipid profile is, work with your physician, and consider great diet and exercise to support normal, healthy cholesterol levels. Cholesterol is not something that we need to be scared of much anymore, because truly, it's important. It helps move the fluids around our body the way they're supposed to, and it also helps create hormones, like I said. Circulation, Dr. Woodfill talked about this already. Totally love using cypress, but I think AromaTouch is underutilized. AromaTouch is an incredibly useful circulatory essential oil. There it is again, let's stop smoking, of course, the journal of everything. Respiratory support, of course, we should be using Breathe, lemon, lavender, and peppermint, especially during this wonderful time of the year if it actually decides to turn spring. Cardamom, which is dually awesome because it also helps with gastrointestinal support. And then we have the inhalation of essential oils supports alveolar diffusion and natural processes. What does that mean? Okay, so inside of the lungs, there is these little sacs, and they're known as alveoli. And people who say you shouldn't ingest essential oils because they're so toxic and harmful for you, I look at them and say bollocks. And do you know why? You're internalizing essential oils when you use them in aromatherapy. The oils are getting into your lung, they go through a one-cell wall permeable membrane, and they make it into your central bloodstream anyway. Right? How do people feel effects from when they get done smoking? The stuff goes into their lungs and therefore goes into their body. All right? Now let's talk about mental health, and I promise I'll close this up. This is, like I said, the elephant in the room. We need to talk about this with each other, and we need to talk about this with our soon-to-be customers. Essential oils work through the limbic system. Dr. Hill did a wonderful talk at this previous convention about the limbic system. We can literally change our emotions through the use of aroma. And there are countless numbers of studies that prove this, and what's pretty amazing is that doTERRA is not just an essential oil company, they're actually a science company as well. And they do research with 25 plus, I believe, David, maybe the number's gone up now, but at least 25 masters and PhD scientists to figure out how essential oils work inside of the body. The limbic system is where our processing of old memories comes from. Do you ever get nostalgic like myself, like when I go onto a football field or I smell freshly cut grass? It reminds me of when I played football. And we're talking like at least 20 years ago. And I remember it like, I remember everything. I remember the stadium, I remember the sounds, the sights, the lights, I remember all that stuff, just by smelling freshly cut grass. So we know that we can actually change our emotions through the use of emotional aromatherapy. Look into it, talk about it more. I have this veterans blend, okay, because another hat that I wore is a combat veteran of the United States Army. No, clap for all those folks that are on active duty right now in the line of defense and all those types of things, okay? I appreciate your clapping for me, but clap for them because they're currently actively serving. And you don't have to be wearing a uniform to serve your country, all right? We should be applauding anybody who serves other people, all right? And so what I developed is a very simple one. This has been called by a bunch of uncompliant names or non-compliant names, but I simply call it the Veterans Blend. It's Serenity, Vetiver, and Balance. And I tell you what, it has done a remarkable job of calming my crazy you-know-what down. It is a phenomenal blend, okay? It is a phenomenal blend. We have got to discuss mental health, depression, anxiety, and suicide across the board. We have over 6 million customers and wellness advocates now in doTERRA. Can we please talk about mental health more? Please provide those solutions as well. You might have a 20 to 40 something year old who may not have these long-standing disease or illnesses, but guess what? They're anxious. Millennials in the room, are you feeling me? Like you guys are crazy anxious about things. But that's not a bad thing because guess what? I'm right there with you. We all have depression, anxiety, or anxious feelings, excuse me. We all have anxious feelings. We need to address these concerns, okay? So how do we start with men? Well, get them started on the daily habits, okay? Matter of fact, do it with them. Support your partner's health with education and knowledge. Knowledge is power, power leads to empowerment, and empowerment leads to decisions to be made beneficially for their health. Do not force the oils on them, okay? Just gradually work them in. We will come around once we get out of our own pride and stubbornness. Use them in the family. That's what got me started, was that my wife Jackie started using them around the family, and all of a sudden it's like I can notice an actual tangible difference in our family's health. Make work through the use of love. And no, I'm not talking about that kind of love. I'm talking about just love on him. Love on him. We are big cuddly bears once you finally get through that rough exterior, if we try to put up one. Because most of us are saps at heart, okay? I'm just going to be honest with you. If you have a lady in your life, you're going to be a pile of butter when you're around them, okay? I don't care who you are. So use what you can and inspire them through your love. And then be able to actually show honest swaps and show them that you care about him being around for the future. All right, every single day I feel that Jackie does something beneficial for me because she actually wants to keep me around. It's a crazy thought. I sometimes don't want to keep myself around because it's like, why would I want to put up with me? But sure enough, she believes in me. And so like I listen to her because I've decided to get my own feet out of my ears, okay? Oops, let me go ahead and go one back, and I promise I will leave you with this. What this says, if you can't read it, is it says, there is no exercise better than the heart, or for the heart, than reaching down and lifting people up. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I went over a little bit, but I will bring Dan back up on stage. Thank you so much, everybody.